my fellow comic book collectors. It's Alan, the Comic Collector Geek, and I'm joined with Collecto6, aka Steven.
Hello there.
I'm still looking for a book. I'm going insane. I can't find it. So
Going insane?
I've already been insane, but I'm trying to find my Hulk. I know that you're going to show some Hulks. I'm trying to find a couple of my Hulks that are.
So we can be twinsies.
Yes. And I could feel superior for a little while until you finally get Hulk number 4.
Well, you'll always be superior. I mean, that just goes without saying.
But I brought some cool books to show. Also, I did a big trade that you helped inspire. Actually,
I did this. What did I do?
Yes, we did.
What did I do?
Find out. You'll find out. You gotta watch until the end of the video.
You gotta wait till the end of the show.
You gotta wait till the end of the show. Will he escape? Will he go? No. Yeah. I'm just gonna say hi to the chat. Hi, chat. Wow. Okay. A lot of people like commenting. Okay. Oh, K-Munin, you're first today. You did it, man. You're successful. And hi, Matt.
Hi, Matt.
Hey, Last Frontier.
Last Frontier.
Hi, Callie.
Big Callie.
Hey, JSS.
JSS.
JX.
JX.
And K-Munin again.
Andreas again.
Wait, what do you say? Hopefully the later start means that we get to risque covers. Oh my goodness. No.
Keep dreaming.
Keep dreaming.
Dream on.
Wait. No, I'm just clicking random people now.
That's all right.
Okay.
The Faux Swifts are the ones that each year come back, and there's a school in Northwest Portland called Chapman School. And they have a chimney that for decades now, and they don't run the furnace anymore because of it, that they basically, these Swifts all come around, like they circle around and they go all the way down into this chimney. It's the damnedest thing you ever saw. Thousands of them, thousands. Wow. And people come from all over the country to watch them. It's just that they have for so long, this is where they are. If you go on YouTube and Chapman School and the Swifts, Faux Swifts, it's incredible what we have. It's really amazing.
And they go down people's chimneys?
No. They go down the school's chimney, the big chimney that they have for the school, that was for the furnace for the school.
And so you guys boil these poor little birds?
Big brick column, big stack that went up. And for some reason, the Swifts started to, decades ago, some would get around the top because it would be warm and they liked it and it was safe and it was high. And then pretty soon there's more and more and more and more and more. And now it's just a huge thing. And it has been for, like I say, for decades. So that's
But if they light a fire or something in there.
I said they don't use it because of the Swifts. They find, I think that they've replumbed it or something like that so that the Swifts are unhurt. Starting up the furnace with all the Swifts in there, then it'll be free squab.
Yeah, it'd be like a big feast. Okay. Hey, Susie.
Hi, Sue.
And I think I got everyone. Wait, Lyle.
Big Lyle.
Brian. Synthetic. Lau. And Knives.
He always should Knives. I like that. Good for you.
Knives is Rick. I know him. And Miss Megan.
Hi from Australia.
I'm curious.
Thank you for watching.
I feel like she has like some adult thing going on. I'm not sure. It's like, okay, I'll go with that anyways. And hi, Justin. Okay, so I got everyone. I said hi to everybody. I'm being a better host than usual, so that's good.
That's good. It's always good to be a good host. I will tell you, the reason why we're a little bit late was because I had an appointment I had to keep, and then Alan pushed it back to 5, and it worked out just fine. I basically just came through the door. I don't have time to open my boxes. I will save those for Friday, so I will have stuff for Friday. But I have a very nice stack in addition to the big ones that I'm going to show, but I have a very nice selection to show.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah. So according to FedEx, I'm supposed to get a like ding dong at my doorbell.
You're supposed to get
Uh,
a ding dong at your doorbell?
yes,
You
because
shouldn't talk about the people like that. No wonder you have problems
no, no,
with your
no.
deliveries.
Yeah, so I'm supposed to
Ding
get like
dong
my.
bell, it's like in Hard Day's Night. Ding dong bell, you know,
It
when they
keeps
were
on
down
saying
in.
my stackery's arriving, by the way. So I don't know what's going on with that. Oh, and wait, it moves so fast. Hi, Jesus, and hi, Fiddle Chips, by the way. Okay,
Hi, Fiddle.
and I think I got everybody now. Okay, so yeah, so it's weird. I'm not sure. Like, I don't think they deliver this time though. It's too late.
Well, I would say if they deliver it after 8 o'clock at night, that would be quite something. I sincerely doubt it.
I was waiting for a dong. I said ding dong, not dong.
He has 2 kids. He found it. Don't worry about it, Fiddle.
Yeah, we hope. um, so yeah, so
Fine looking boy you got there, Fred.
okay,
Hi.
so yeah, so I got some stuff to show. You have some stuff to show. I'm
Yes,
going to be
sir.
searching for things while you're searching for things, and it
Oh,
should be interesting.
just watch with me and just hold my hand as we do this. You don't have to find something all the
No,
time.
I have to find something. It's going to drive me nuts.
All right. Well,
It's in
shall I?
here somewhere.
Well, let's start with what we have. Will that do?
No.
All right. Would you like to start, or do you want I should
No, you
start?
start. You start. What do you want to show first?
Well, I'll just show. I'll show my lineup here. Recently, I decided because I had watched a show and I'd heard some people talking about it, was about SpongeBob, and of
Oh,
course,
okay.
my boys watch SpongeBob, and my bride has watched SpongeBob, and Patrick going "La, la, 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 la," you know, for hours on end, and the
Mm-hmm.
Krabby Cakes restaurant and all that other stuff. And as a matter of fact, I posted this today.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
I I posted this book today, but it's SpongeBob #1
And a 9/8, which is
in a
awesome.
9/8 with white pages, although I think they're all white pages. Ladies and gentlemen, the newer books, when they say white pages, they use cover stock. They use white cover stock and white cover stock inside. It's impossible for books to not have white pages. That only
Well,
really was a valid thing back when there was actual newsprint that was used inside the books.
well,
So
actually, Hudat, he sent in a bunch of 9/8s, and he got like off white pages
for on new books,
on new books. I think it was a mistake
oh,
on the
that has
label,
to be a mistake.
but he was like so annoyed.
Oh,
But
I don't blame
he
him.
was telling me about
He's
that.
had
I thought it was
Who
funny.
has had just about enough trouble, don't you think?
It doesn't do
I
well with
mean,
the
that
grading
poor
companies.
guy. I mean, first CBCS hands his X-Men one and gives it away to someone.
Yeah.
You know, and then all this hubbub, a hurricane hits him. His internet has been squirrely. They don't
Mm.
have an answer. They're dragging him around and all that stuff. He's a nut basta. But on the back, it's cool because they have sort of this minimalized version of him.
Oh, that's really cool.
In other words, he has sort of a much less of a cartoony with the big eyeballs. He has this sort of this little squiggles. But
Mm.
anyway, so today, and I use the theme music from Krabby Cakes Restaurant is my music today.
I'll have to watch
And
it then. I never listened to your music. I should really listen to your music.
I do actually take pride in the music that I put in with my posts. I try very much to have something that it accommodates or complements, I should say, complements my posts, because I think that the fact that you can have music is very good. When you have a reel, which can only go 60 seconds, that's all they give you. Then you only have 60 seconds of sound. If you go with 10 pictures, so you can have 10 pictures, you can go 90 seconds. And I have found that with 90 seconds, a lot of times for the music that I like to put on, then in 90 seconds, you can actually do the whole theme. And if you pick your place carefully, then it loops perfectly. And I strive to do that. And that's sort of the cherry on top, because the hard part's getting all the information about the books and all where the book was and how and who's involved and all that stuff, and then all the histrionics I put into it. And then if there's history involved, then I have to research history to make sure. So that's the first
Oh,
one.
Phil Chips has the first 30 issues of SpongeBob.
Do you know Phil Chips, our friend Mark Oldroyd, has a complete set. He's over in England, and he took great pride in being able to get the last few issues for the complete run. I do not know, Callie.
No, he said, yeah, actually, I read his
Oh, Under
answer
the Sea
before.
was the first? Oh, was
Rocco's
that
Modern
first?
Life.
Or is this a quiz?
Wait, it was Rocco's Modern Life. Actually, I have Rocco's Modern Life #1 as a comic. It's like a dog-like character.
I liked Rocco's Modern Life. I liked Ren and Stimpy better, and I also liked there's a few others. I liked Dexter's Laboratory. I always liked that one. Actually, I go back and I like the Beetlejuice cartoons that they had. But
I actually thought they were okay. Yeah, I watched those too.
I enjoyed them. So this book is drenched in Alan's tears. So
that one. Oh,
it is
shoot.
a wonderful thing. And unbeknownst to me, but I asked Alan, I said, look, how in the world am I supposed to know whether you have a book at my comic shop and it's in your cart and I'm poaching on your cart? He says, always assume that every book that you want is my book and it's already in my
they're all my
cart.
books.
And they're all his books. And so with that understanding, I then, of course, ignore him. And then unless he specifically tells me there's one that he's after, which if he does tell me he's specific, then, of course, I back off. But this one I got, and he said, oh, I guess that's where that one went. I won't have to look for that in my cart. And it's Gangsters and Gun Malls from Avon, September of 1951.
It's a great cover. I always like that one.
Great painted cover. And incredibly, this has white pages.
Yeah. And it was actually very affordable.
It was, which was one of the reasons I've looked at this book a couple times, and the price that they had was not commensurate with the prices I had been seeing on eBay. And so I basically said, here's my chance. And I took it and I said, Alan, I found a cool book for our show. He says, which one? And I said, oh, I know what it is. I'm going to, Alan, now, did you want to show some? I've shown a few, given you some time. Do you want to show some? Or am I still going?
I can show a few. I just found one cool book as I was looking for my Hulk.
Cool is good.
Yeah. I always forgot how many of these I have. It's the Blackstone Magician ones.
Don't you have a complete set?
A complete set. There's like 50 books or something crazy like that in the collection.
Okay.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of books. There's still the big one that I'm missing is the one with the sort of like the KKK looking one, the hooded figures. You know what I mean?
On Blackstone.
Yeah, on Blackstone.
Blackstone, or are you talking about the other one? Because the hooded,
like Super Magician.
Super Magician is the one that has the Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah.
That was the first. That was the very first one that I got because that was the actually that one was offered to me.
Yeah, that one I'm still trying to find. It's usually expensive, and I still haven't, you know.
It is expensive.
Yeah, I still haven't gotten there in terms of.
It's about the coolest one, though.
Yeah, there's a few cool ones.
No, there's a lot of cool ones, but that one in particular.
So then I brought some slabs that I just picked up recently. These are.
Oh boy.
Yeah, this is the one that we. The funny thing is, like, I think you thought I had this, and then you picked it up, and then it was sort of like, then I sort of had to pick it up after you. Actually, it's kind of weird.
Well, I thought that now was this book one that was on one of your reports where you?
I think so. Yeah.
Because you had waxed rhapsodic about how nice it was, and then I had to go to battle. I actually had to go to auction to buy a raw book, and the raw book that I bought was in an attic, and there were about 8 to 10 books that were in the attic. One of which was this one, that one in your hand. And what I ended up doing is I slugged it out, and I think it was like about $4.50.
A lot of romance books are still very affordable, by the way, Piddle. Yeah,
Well,
so this
this is
one,
LB, but this is
but this
LB
is LB
Cole,
Cole. It's
and
not
it's a
really.
particularly no, and she's got the clamp on red and orange square bizarro Jimmy Olsen boy who must have something
Mhm.
that's very endearing that the ladies like because he's
Well,
got Hulk purple pants
he's got
and
the
an
really
orange and
crazy
yellow.
purple pants.
Yeah, and they're by the raging fire, and the jilted frail is at the door. Can't believe what she's looking at, although she shouldn't be surprised with her boyfriend.
Yeah, it's a great cover. I always like the ones with like the either the log cabin or with the fire. You know, that typical scene. This one actually I picked up really affordably too. This is Nellie the Nurse. Actually, the true to life romances. After you picked it up, there was one copy that was on. Hey, maybe he's a jockey. Yeah, he looks like a jockey. I always kind of associate that kind of style with jockeys. Um, the true to life romances though, it was on my comic shop, and and what happened was if you this is a cool trick. I'm not sure if you know this trick, but what you do is if you see something you like on my comic shop and the price is really, really high, okay? Let's say it's just really high. You don't like the price. What you do is you put it into your likes, like want list, wish list, okay? And then what happens is um, if nobody buys it at that crazy price, which hopefully nobody does, um, what will happen is they will generally lower the price over time. And so what happened was with the true to life romances, I did that. I put it in my thing. I put the on the want list, and every like month it would like be $100 cheaper. It just kept on going down, and I got it for like about half the price at the end. So yeah, it was pretty awesome. So but this one I picked this up relatively affordably too. So Nellie the Nurse #2. And I like these good girl ones from Marvel. Uh, okay. And another title that I'm trying to get actually a run of is Nickel Comics. Nickel Comics #2.
Some of those some of those are better than others. You know that?
Yeah, the next one, I think it's #3. That's a really cool cover where the girl's in bondage and he's like saving her. That's a really cool cover. This one's still fun, but not as cool. Not as cool. I mean, I do like the fact that he swooshes through the plains. I think that's pretty cool.
Very.
And the colors are nice. You know, it's got that kind of
What is the restoration on it?
the restoration includes it's a C1, so slight, but amateur. Small amount of glue on spine of cover and interior. Okay. So probably it's one of those ones where you could probably get it removed and it's still probably grayed out at a 3.
That seems, boy, that doesn't seem like much restoration for that book. It looks awfully nice. To
Yeah.
basically be saddled with Plod, purple label of death.
Yeah, it's okay though. I don't mind. See, I don't really care to tell you the truth. I really don't. You know, if it helps me get the book cheaper, why not? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Um. So yeah, the next one is Boy Comics. Now, Boy Comics, there's some pretty amazing covers, and this is one of them. You got the GI, and it looks like they're tickling his feet, but they're actually lighting his feet on fire.
Oh
They're
God.
Okay, it's pretty crazy. It's Byro. He did the cover.
He
Would
was
do
a
some.
sick puppy.
He did some pretty crazy covers. I mean, you got to give him credit though. He has a very wild imagination. I mean, some of the stuff that he comes up with just totally crazy. You know,
Well, the way where his mind goes, and he was one of the editors. He and another guy, they were
yeah,
both editors, and I love it on that where they have the symbol of the comic company, which is
feet to the fire,
feet
literally.
to the fire, literally.
Yeah.
What is the company again? I'm drawing a blank.
It's Leave Gleason.
Lev Gleason.
Leave.
No, it's
Tomato,
Lev because
tomato.
there's no and the
I
but
know
I
there's no extra E. If there was an extra E, it would be Leave, but because there isn't, it's just Lev Gleason.
okay, it's LEV is how they spell it.
Yes,
I
yes.
do not see the little logo thing that says integrity on it on that. Was this
Yeah.
before they had integrity, Alan?
This is before they had any integrity. Yeah. I'm just looking to see if it says anything. First torture, then death, with 130 million lives at stake. Can Crime Buster squelch this foul Japanese treachery? Wow.
That's easy for you to say.
Yeah, it was not so easy for me to say. I'm terrible at reading out loud. So yeah, I thought this was a cool one. It was one that I was sort of stalking for a while and decided to finally pull the plug on it and pick it up. This is one I just picked up recently. I showed recently. This is one of the ones I picked up from Stray Flexing. But I always thought this was a really cool cover, and it's a very affordable book. Usually $100 to $200 range. Well,
it's the
usually in
Murphy
low
bed.
grades.
It's the Murphy bed of death. That's what I
It's the
see with
Murphy.
skulls.
Yeah, I like
down.
the fact that you came up with that Murphy bed of death. It's really cool. And yeah.
Is that restored also? Is that restored also? It is.
This one is restored as well. I
On a
picked up a lot of restored
1.5.
books.
What is the restoration?
Small amount of glue on cover. First wrapped glued to cover. So it's glue again. Now a lot of these, like a 1.5, if you remove the glue, if it's not too destructive,
it's still a 1.5.
It's still a 1.5. It's not gonna go. That's why, like, sometimes it doesn't make any difference to me. Now this next one is also restored. Jeez, I buy a lot of restored. But this is a really classic LB Cole cover.
That is so cool. That's a lot of teeth. But I like the way his shark, but that shark looks to me to be something like it's bigger than a shark because of the way the tail is. It's sort of like it's like almost like an orca.
Yeah,
and
it looks like an orca mixed with a shark.
But it has the bull shark nose, the wide flat brim nose. So that looks like a bull shark supposedly.
Do I have more graded comics than raw? No. I have probably about 2,000 graded comics, and I would say about 20 to 30,000 raw comics. So not even close. So yeah, this one, this is the funny thing. Like, this is like you say guns, right? This is so golden age. Like, they'd have crime or guns or whatever, like some like big
murder.
Thing. And then underneath it's against gangsters, and even the against gangsters is hidden by the shark a little bit. So it's
well, they have crime, and then they have like almost like as an parentheses with an asterisk, does not pay. This is tiny little
like afterthought almost. But this one is another LB Cole. This one is a trimmed cover though. That's the but I'm gonna find the part that they took off and glue it back on, so it should be okay.
Do you know the thing about trimming is the only one that is, restoration, if it's done and restoration like restoration conservation type stuff. But when they're trimming the book, that is a hill too far. And of course, with the pulps, they allow that because, it's what you would do. Well, tell me something. How does that differ from like a Fox Features Syndicate book that is basically delaminating on the edge, and they trim it so that it doesn't go any further?
Well, that's the thing. Like, a lot of the time, like when they did the covers, you'd have that overlap, right? Like the kind of where it flops over.
Well, the reason, go ahead.
Well, and my point is, what happens is if you leave that, it will, well, especially it happened more in pulps, but sometimes it happens in comics too, is my point.
It
Um,
does.
and when it happens, you get that chipping, right? You get that edge either gets kind of bends
Hey,
off.
if you've ever put a slide, tried to slide it into a Mylar, and
Yeah,
the
it
catch is that
folds in.
edge, it's just like a Ginsu knife. It just zhap, and that's it.
Yeah, and then the other thing is, if you kind of leave it and it starts to fray, it'll actually, that fray will kind of go into the
It
cover.
will migrate.
Yeah, so it's like there is
You can't
some.
do that, but you can't trim that. You can't stop it, right?
Yeah, so I mean, it's like,
Because books are so sacrosanct. They're so perfect that to sully them with these things that you do, oh, it's just they were disposable. They are disposable. They're organic.
yeah,
This,
yeah.
and they were printed as cheaply as they could. And they say, well, it's just the condition of it. What do you think we started with?
Yeah,
For
I mean,
God's
and
sake,
generally,
what do you,
and
and oh, no. Well, we're going to restore the Mona Lisa. No problem. Is it the value down? No, it went up because we fixed it. How about that Ferrari, that
I know.
1951 Ferrari? Well, it was a basket case. They just restored it. Well, it's worth less now because you restored it. No, it's worth several millions of dollars. Oh, I see. Fair enough. So fine art, true fine art, and
Hmm.
classic automobiles you can restore.
No
How about a
problem.
house? How about a house? You had to repair your house, a beautiful house, and if you don't repair the house when you sell it, you're gonna lose $200,000. So you fix the thing, you paint it, you put a new roof on it. Well, you replaced the roof, didn't you? You
Yeah, so the
replaced the
value
roof.
should go down. We should make the comic book argument when buying houses
Yeah,
and
I'm
say,
sorry,
sorry,
you've
it's
restored
restored. It's
that.
a purple label.
That's restored.
Mm.
That's half value now, half value. And the one
Or
that
tenths
they
if it's really well restored. If they put a lot of effort into it, then the value is going to be, sorry, I'll
way
give you
down.
about a
And
tenth.
here
Yeah.
and the other one was that they said, for example, on sailing ships, that they had the original set of sails. Well,
Hmm.
we had to replace the sails. You mean they're not the original sails? No, because they're worn out. They're
They
gone.
fall apart.
We went around. They had a nor'wester and they got blown out. So what do you new
Mm.
sticks? They blew some of the sticks away, some of the masts. Well, you mean it's not the original mast? No, it isn't. I had to replace it so the ship could. How about aircraft? If you don't fix aircraft, is it original aircraft? It sure is. Is it safe to fly? Hell no, because it's
Hmm.
got umpteen thousand hours on the airframe. Well, we had to rebuild the airframe and now we can fly it. Is it worth less now because you fixed that? No, because comic books are stupid. The grading of comic books is stupid, and the purple label of death is stupid.
Hmm.
Seriously,
But
I think it's.
well, you used
I
to
don't
be like
agree
on the
with it.
other side of that story. That's funny. I feel like I'm hearing my own voice sometimes through you, so it's interesting.
But
Um,
it's painful. One more thing on this, I'll just quit grinding my axe. The thing is that when bigger books were found back in the 90s, late 80s and 90s, when paper conservation started, right? When paper conservation started, what did you do when you bought a book that was sort of having some problems, but it was a rare, beautiful Superman #1,
I know
and
you get it
you
restored.
want to fix the book? You send it to a conservator who then
Hmm.
will take the spine roll out so it doesn't damage the spine. And then if there are tears on the cover so it won't tear the rest of the way, they'll put tear seals on it. They'll put archival tape. So in other words, those things, and then what they did to do too, and they didn't have to do this, but they would do color touch very, very carefully, so that if
Hmm.
there was some thing that was just a hair off, they say, "Do you want us to just touch the color right there
Now,
on the spine where it's black, and so that the white doesn't show? Do you want to have us do that? Please do." And then of course now, so if you look at the census and you look at the big books, look how
I know
many of them
half.
are restored, because
Yeah,
the reason why is because that's what you did.
but the weird thing
No,
is,
you
okay,
can't do that. You mustn't do that.
here's I will push back a little bit on restored because I even though I buy like restored and I actually generally don't mind. The one thing is I don't like when they do restoration in an amateur way that is destructive to the book.
That's why I said
So
you send it to a. I didn't say.
I know you, yeah.
I
But
didn't
that's
say
why I
get
don't
your
like the people with the
shoelaces and
Sharpies, and I don't
yeah,
like any of
don't
that.
get your Sharpies and kiwi wax and shoelaces and bubble gum to fix
Yeah.
it, and your Elmer's glue to go at the spine.
Almost.
I'm talking
I
about
think people,
paper conservators doing this.
yeah. Yeah, some of the glue will actually destroy the book. So yeah, I don't like any of that. Um, but for the most part, I like the one thing I don't understand is why is tape not restoration?
I don't understand it.
I never got that.
But you see, the thing is, if it's Scotch tape and it's from the day, like if it's 1954 Scotch tape,
It's
and it's
original Scotch
yellow
tape,
and it's all the guck is bleeding out all over. But if you
and
use
it gets all brittle and flaky too.
yeah,
That's
but if
awesome.
you have archival tape that is
Gorilla
submerged,
tape.
yeah, Gorilla tape, that'll fix it up.
Yeah, no more split spline now. Um,
No more spit spines, right?
split spline, split spline. I didn't realize that was an alliteration until I said it. Um,
I will. I will show
okay,
some books. I've ground my axe enough.
okay,
But
good.
I really do bristle at that.
Hmm.
It's well, we don't. Oh, and there's one other thing. There's one
Okay,
other thing, and that is the fact that there were people who would restore books and then not disclose that
that they were
upon
restored.
sale, and that is what is known as fraud. And
But you
so
know, the funny thing is, back in the day, if you did get it sent off, you would actually brag that it was professionally restored.
you would, but then but at the same time, when the wheels started to turn, where the purple label of death started, then if you
Then it
didn't,
changed. Yeah.
then if you did, then it changed. See, because if you knew the raw book was restored, thank you, Lyle. When the book was restored and you didn't give the information, then there wasn't a meeting of the minds, and what that did was that set in motion this canard that any restored book that there's skullduggery involved with a restored book. Well, it's restored. Oh, the guy was trying to push the grade and it's a fraud. And so it loses all merit and all value and all that stuff. I like conserved books. I have a conserved book. I have a Superman number 17 that
So
basically in the 90s when the collection was found 1 through 50, then what the guy who bought the books did on the cover was a water soluble signature in blue ink on the cover, and all he did was float the signature off the book. That's all he did, and the fact that the book was cleaned with distilled water and vinegar or something like that, it wasn't dry cleaned to the approval of the gods of conservation. Then what they did, and actually that was used by conservation because it was natural and it didn't hurt the fiber, it didn't hurt the lignin in the paper. So long
mhm.
story short, but they said, well, this hucksters would do that they would commit fraud. And so that idea of the carnival barker, that's the other thing too. Comic books are common. People find comic books everywhere, and there's a find here, there's a find there, and the wrong people find the books, but they're crafty enough to see what the values are. They'll doctor it, and then they will sell it as unrestored raw. And then there were guys that did that, but it damned whatever the percentage was, like 7 to 10% or 6%, 4% out of the entire market, and that brush tarred the whole question about books that had restoration, that there was skullduggery involved, and that isn't true. So
Well, so for
that
me, like just quickly about conservation, just I always saw it as one level. Like so, you got
above,
like A,
yeah,
B,
A, you have
C.
A, and then it's the next level up.
Yeah, and it's just a little
It's
bit.
so little that it's benign, and
Hmm.
you could call it conservation, or if you wanted to just remove an unsightly thing on the cover that you could readily do, that you would do it, but you're not doctoring the book. You're just removing an unsightly signature on it. A lot of people sign their books, and the fact is, if they signed it with a fancy watercolor or water soluble ink, fancy pen, that can come off. But if someone's got a really sharp number 2 pencil, boy, oh boy, they write it on the cover, and that's not coming off at all. That's staying there.
Okay. So we should go back to showing books because people are loving the rant, but I don't want to torture people too much. But
all right, I apologize
no, no,
torturing
no,
you.
no.
I'm very
They like it. So
I feel
the
very
audience actually
strongly about
enjoys it.
this, and I have been at the had that used on me. I have had fraud committed on me, and on that, but
All right.
that doesn't necessarily mean that all of it is. And that's why if you're buying a big book, a graded book is a better way to go, conserved or otherwise, because on account of that way, then
Again,
it removes all doubt.
why is pressing, pressing again should be a
Yeah,
nice
but
thing, right?
and of course, that was a canard too, because what did guys do if they had books that were slightly rimpled and stuff when we were kids? Have
We
you ever
press them
heard of a
out.
thing called an encyclopedia? Did
Yeah,
anybody have
I
a
would
set of
always naturally press my
encyclopedias?
stuff too.
You put your books down there, and you lay the 7 to 10 volumes of the encyclopedia on it, and then you wait for a week or a month or whatever it is. You come out and it's done. Well, you just pressed the book. No, I put it underneath the encyclopedias.
Mm.
Okay,
Right.
here ends the lesson. I have some interesting Silver Age books that I'm going to
Okay.
show as my finale. But since these all are in the same cubbyhole that I have these keys, here is the first appearance of the Ant-Man in costume as
In
Ant-Man,
costume.
and he is the Alan and I have gone around and around the barn here about that. Tales to Astonish 27, The Man in the Anthill, is the first appearance of Ant-Man. It isn't. It's the first appearance of Henry Pym. Henry Pym turns into the Ant-Man. Henry Pym in the Man in the Anthill it's a horror story, and
But
they
he has the
retconned him.
powers. He just
He didn't
doesn't
have
wear.
any powers. All he had the power to do was to shrink. But he
Yeah,
did not have. But let me finish now. He didn't have a raison d'etre. He didn't have a code to fight crime. He did not have the cybernetic helmet where he could talk to the ants. He didn't have a superhero costume. He didn't have a lab specifically designed to fight crime. He didn't have ants that would then join him in his battle for crime. He
Okay, so the
didn't
way
become
no,
the
no.
Ant-Man. He didn't become the Ant-Man until issue number 35.
So the way I see it is this: that he he invented a thing that would allow him to shrink, and then he was able to revert that. So he was kind of testing the idea of becoming an Ant-Man.
No,
And
he wasn't testing anything. He wanted to see if he could shrink himself, and he went into an anthill, and then he
yeah,
barely got out with his life. And
but
then
he
he
made
says, "My
friends with
God, I'll
some
never do that."
ants.
He says, "My God, I'll never do that again." And he
But he made
destroyed all the
friends with the
serum and everything
ants.
else. So it's a one-shot thing, one and
No,
done.
no, no, no. He made
And
friends
they
with one of the
retconned
ants,
it.
and the ant helped him out. And so he
They
had.
chased. I mean, they helped him out by chasing him out
No,
of
there was one
the
ant that
anthill.
helped him. There was one ant that helped him. That's remember he. That's I think that's how he got out. He climbed on the back of one of the ants, and it sort of carried him out.
Serendipity. He was running for his life, and
Okay,
one
so
ant
the
was
point
going
is,
towards the exit.
this is like when you first become the superhero that you're going to become, you have to go through that learning curve. It's sort of like when Spider-Man, if you watch the Spider-Man movie, when he first does the wrestling thing and he comes out with a really crappy Spider-Man suit, you don't say, oh, he was not Spider-Man then. He's still Spider-Man. He just has a crappy suit. So this is like, that prototype, that early stages, he's kind of
Spider-Man was
developing his
Spider-Man
skills.
from the start because he put on a secret identity, and then he tried to do something good. This guy shrunk himself down in a botched experiment and wound up in an anthill running for his life to save his life from the ants to want to eat him.
Well, but even if you look at most superhero origin stories, when they first get their powers, what are they doing? They're going, "Whoa, I don't know how to use my powers. I, swinging around, I do whatever, So they all go through that. So the first story is really that, and
I
then
see.
this. See
I
what I'm
see.
saying?
Oh, yes, I see.
I just think, the first one is
I think
27.
I think so too. Here is Strange Tales number 107. This is, and that last one also was part of a collection called the East Lansing Collection. It was discovered in East Lansing, Michigan, and that's where Harley Yee lives. And so he
I'll just be
found it.
right back, okay?
Sure. And so here, why did the doorbell ring?
No, I just hear my wife calling. Just one second.
Okay. When I'm calling you. So, this is a white page beauty, and it's the Silver Age redux of Fire versus Water. And it's a beautiful Jack Kirby cover. Who did the inks? Jack Kirby, Saul Brodsky, who also was an artist in his own right. And inside the stories, a lot of times in here, the plots were done by Stan Lee, and his brother was Larry Lieber, because Stan Lee's real name was Stanley Lieber. And so, but he changed it to Lee because people kind of went away from the Jewish names for some reason. Stan did, but his brother didn't. Larry stayed Lieber all the way through. I always felt that when I would see in these, because when you had the Strange Tales at this point, you got one super story and then you got two more stories, which were like some weird Ditko story about a monster or something. It was basically the superheroes got one of the segments of the anthology, whereas with the Marvel monster books, it was like 3 or 4 stories depending, where you had different artists, like you had Kirby, you had Ditko, you had Ayers, you had Lieber, and then they would all do really screwy, macabre, ironic stories. And then as the supers came in, then the supers pushed the monsters out. But they they had their sort of a monster feel. For example, with Doctor Strange, there was still quite a lot of the macabre and the weird supernatural, of course, going on as the master of the mystic arts. But in this particular one, when they started with Strange Tales, and I think it was in 101, is they started with the Human Torch was in the title. And then the sales didn't really do what they thought they should do, because they thought the Torch could stand alone. So they brought the Thing in. And then what they did was to also add, throw a couple more logs on the fire. They would always have guest appearances of the balance of the Fantastic Four. And so Strange Tales sort of became Fantastic Four Comics #2. It was sort of the West Wing of the Baxter Building was Strange Tales. And then the main house was where you had the FF stories. And then, of course, all of that changed when Doctor Strange came in 110, because they had something they didn't even know what they had. And it's only like a 4-page story, whatever it is. And Doctor Strange is completely realized in this first episode. This is also an East Lansing book, white pager. And what happens is he solves the problem, and he looks grizzled and he looks old, and he has Ditko was great at drawing faces from all of the work he did for Marvel, and also the work that he did on Captain Atom with Charlton. He had a lot of experience with that. And
okay, I'm back.
Okay, and so after this 4-page story, they said, "My gosh, we've got something here." And Ditko was the one that did it. Stan Lee said that he says it was Steve Ditko's baby. I helped, but it was Steve's baby.
Is that a 9/4?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so what happened was, then when they started Doctor Strange up again, they started him further back in that is to say, younger and not as adept at using the mystic arts. In the first story, he knew what he was doing. In the second story, he really didn't have his bona fides. He didn't know what to do so much. He had learned at the foot of the Ancient One, but and Mordo was causing problems and all this. And this was as he was learning the craft. He basically was fighting Mordo as well as trying to find out what the Ancient One knew everything was going on as well. It's a great run of stories to read. He matures and his powers change and he becomes all kinds of stuff to improve his standing. And then finally, the Ancient One, after he defeated Nightshade what is it, Nightmare, and then
Nightmare.
he Nightmare, and then some Timbako or some of these other ones that he had, going up to Dormammu, and Dormammu was really good. And then Clea and her father come into the story and stuff.
Yeah.
It's really, really good stuff. But starting right here, Doctor Strange, it was just a one shot to see if there was any interest, and there was. They were flooded with requests, more Doctor Strange, and so they answered that. And so Doctor Strange then, for practical purposes, was a much more interesting and surreal supernatural character than just basically another half of the Fantastic Four doing whatever they were doing, the Torch and the Thing, which are good stories too. Don't get me wrong, but Doctor Strange is what drove, really wanted to go for it.
Yeah, I mean that's I actually really like the Doctor Strange series. I mean, it was pretty awesome.
That was one, and I was. If you watch Bleecker Street Comics Church, just yesterday on Church, I showed my entire run of Strange Tales. So if you have a chance and you would like to watch, see my collection, it was one of the it was the very first
So
Marvel run I put together.
how far back do you go back? Like
I go
you
back
go?
to I go back all the way. I don't go to 101. I start with Doctor Strange. I have a few earlier, but Doctor Strange is where, and I have all the Doctor Strange going up, and then Doctor Strange, when he had his own title, I follow on with that. But Doctor Strange, the Ditko stuff was so good. But then you get guys like Bill Everett, and then you have Steranko coming in. But it's Strange Tales, and the only reason I got this, I have two or three pedigrees. I have the Northlands, I have the White Mountains, I have the East Lansings, I have a
Mhm.
few Quebecs, I have, or not Quebec, I have a few Winnipegs, and various others. And the reason why I do was because when I put this together, the run together in 91, 2, 3, the reason why, when those pedigrees came, all the big boys wanted Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, Thor, Tales of Suspense, all those. They wanted those. The Strange Tales and Tales to Astonish were nowhere. They were they were on the, if you will pardon me, sort of on the hind tit on this. And as a result, when I came in, which Ant-Man and Doctor Strange were my favorites. I mean, Thor and Iron Man too. But I loved Doctor Strange and I loved Ant-Man. And then the Wasp came in. And so all of those books from the pedigrees were just sitting there and hadn't sold. And I was able to come in and really, I was very wise to do what I did, because and I've never regretted it. It was, sort of, for example, that at the time, this copy of Strange Tales 110, this cost me a whopping $2,000.
Oh wow! I imagine you can add a zero to that now.
And but at the time, that was full market, and I bought this from Harley. This was
Mhm.
full market, and then I bought, I don't know, all he had, and then a guy named Bob Storms had a whole bunch of the Astonishes as well. He had, and so that's how I put the run together. It really was a great time. I was very fortunate to grow up at that time when these things were just coming on, because books
Affordable.
now that I
Yeah.
bought back in 95 or 93, why now, I mean, I couldn't put the run together. I couldn't do it again. I mean, it's just the way it
Hmm.
is. One of my other favorite characters, I've talked about Marvel here. My first love was Adventure Comics with the Legion of Superheroes, very, very much. And when 1960, when my parents, we moved into a different house, and all the kids in the neighborhood collected Legion of Superheroes. And I loved comics already. I wasn't focused though, but boy, that focused me in a hurry, and I loved it. Edmund Hamilton was the writer, and you had John Fort was doing the artwork. It was so good, and the plots that were written were just so good. And but then, but as I became more mature, because I was 7 when I started collecting the Legion. Um, I discovered the Flash, and that he really, of all the Silver Age characters, the Flash is my absolute favorite, because of writers John Broome and Carmen Infantino and the inkers, the various inkers that inked Infantino, and the editorial direction that assured that the product that was coming out was going to be uniformly good under Julius Schwartz, and first Mort Wessinger, but then Julie Schwartz, that they made sure that the quality of their products, like Stan Lee was for Marvel, those two masters basically ensured that the Silver Age of comics was as great as it is in the storytelling, the continuation of stories, getting into this, and then the Flash, of course, Earth 2, where you basically can link back into the Golden Age. That was a huge book to have Flash 123, and then all the Golden Age heroes you'd heard about, the where are they, what happened to them. And as a little kid, because that was like in 1962, I think, no, 61 that came out, I'm 9 or 8, I'm 8. And then all of a sudden, the Golden Age of comics comes back to life. And then the Justice League has them. It just was so great. It really was amazing stuff. Showcase had 4 episodes, 4 issues of Flash. This is the last of the, no, it's, yeah, see, this is 14. So it's 4, 8, 13, 14. So this is the last issue of Showcase with Flash, after which it goes back to the numbering from the Golden Age to Flash 105. And that's when they started it back up again. But this purple cover is absolutely impossible to find in nice shape. It's a great story inside.
Oh yeah, really. I've been trying to pick that one up actually.
And Showcase 4 is a great book, but for the money that's involved, I'm not made of money, and so I had to decide if I was going to invest in a super Silver Age Grail, big book. I had to decide if it was going to be Amazing Fantasy 15, and if I got 2, then would it be Incredible Hulk 1, or would it be Showcase 4? And I felt that because of the way the market was, and my head overruled my heart, and I ended up getting AF-15 and Hulk 1, and that's what I did. And
you
I
probably did better.
Oh, it's by far better.
Yeah.
And part of the reason is because the Hulk was a new character and Spider-Man was a new character, and the Flash, although wonderful, was basically they took the Golden Age heroes and they turned them into Silver Age heroes, Earth 1, Earth 2. And that's why the Flash costume, the secret identities, the origins, and all of these different characters, except for the big 3, was that so much the way it was. So that's this. And this one's from May, June of 1958. And it has Carmen Infantino and Frank Giacoia. Frank Giacoia was one of his inkers. He did Frank did a really good job. It's sort of like when you have Murphy Anderson, who is a phenomenal inker, and you have him on a guy like Gil Kane, who could draw motion, and he could translate motion, but his inking was just not up to what his pencils were. And when Gil Kane would ink his own stuff, it just is really roundy nostrils and really roundy eyeballs. And all of his characters look just like Gil Kane. I mean, that's, if you look at the guy, that they all look like Gil Kane, especially the villains. And but when Murphy Anderson worked on the Atom with him and did the inking, lightning in a bottle. The Atom has got great art and great stories too. All right, I'll show one more and then I'll let you take over, Alan, as we go.
Okay, sure.
As I said, Adventure Comics was my absolute favorite. And my first love in comics was Adventure Comics with the Legion. And for years and years and years and years and years, I thought that Adventure Comics 300 was the first Legion. And I was wrong, because there were various tryout stories of Legion characters, various Legion characters in action and adventure and what have you, over the period of time from when their very first appearance was, which was as an Adventure 247. And the popularity of Adventure 247, again, they listened to what their fans said and they thought it was great. And this is after the Code. This is a Code book. This is Adventure Comics number 247. And whenever I found them, they were always extremely expensive and they were loved to death. They're low grade. and so often the colors would be faded. This book has the prettiest colors, I think, of any copy of this book I ever saw. And I got it at my LCS from Chris Simons at I Like Comics. And it was in a bunch of books that he was opening up that he had gotten back from the CGC.
Oh, that's really
I
beautiful.
I had come back. I had gone in there to pick up first He-Man and the first Shazam that I had sent in. That both came back 9/8. And then as he says, your books came in, and I said, okay, great. So I went there and I got them. And then he's opening up the box, and this book was in there. I said, whoa, wait a minute. And so then I held the book in my hand and I did not put it down. I said, we're going to work a deal. And we worked the deal and I got it. So this is from, and all the kids in my neighborhood, we never even knew about this book. No one knew anything about it. No one had heard of it. No one had seen it. Nothing. All we knew was from about 300 up. That's all we knew. We didn't know anything from 58. So there's that.
Yeah, it's a great book.
There you go, Alan.
Hey, that's awesome stuff. Okay, so I'm going to show a little bit different stuff. I actually brought out my Hulk collection. I'm still trying to find my number 6.
Aren't we going to do that at the end?
Yeah. I'm just saying.
You're tipping my hand.
I just can't find number 6. I'm still looking for it.
That's all right.
It's driving me nuts. I went through the entire box that says, literally, it says 3 to 6 on it, but it doesn't. It's not there.
It isn't there.
So it must have gotten mixed into some other box by accident, and
drives me crazy.
Yeah,
I was telling Alan,
too, which makes
I was telling Alan, I had ordered a book, and I was looking through my picture folder, like you do, and there's pictures of all your books and all this stuff, and I came across the book that I was supposed to have. I said, Tim, I don't remember even seeing that book. And I said, and it's clear back far enough away that I should have had it. Well, this was one I looked on to see if it was there. It wasn't there. I said, then it must be eBay. So I looked on eBay. It wasn't there, which meant that I bought it from another dealer, or I bought it from an Instagrammer. So now I don't know who did I buy from? When did I actually buy it? When was supposed to be sent? And it's a big book. And so then I said, so what's the first thing that you do? You blame yourself. So now I'm going through all my boxes. I'm going through everything, and I don't have it. It isn't here. Now I have to go back to the computer and try to figure out who it was. And thank God, after about a half a dozen
you found it,
of the people, I found where it was.
You should have just asked me. I knew who you bought it from.
Oh, I don't think so. And then the next thing you know, I called the guy up. I texted him or DM'd him. And DM always sounds kind of dirty. Anyway, I DM'd him, and he said, oh, I spaced out. So it wasn't me, it was him. But I always blame me first, and I cost myself an hour and a half of stomach lining trying to find the freaking book. It drives me crazy. But it's on its way. And then he offered to refund some money to me. And I said, and then I used my goodwill thinker. I said, no. Just do this, just save it. And then when we have our next purchase, then we'll just apply it to that. And he said, thank you so very much, etc. You're being a nice guy. And at that point, I was so relieved to know that I hadn't put it somewhere what I don't know where it is, that it didn't hurt anything, just a few extra days to get it. And I won't tell you what it is, but I'll be showing that book with his brethren in an upcoming show once I get that book.
Okay. Thank you, JSS, by the way. Yeah, so just quickly, I'm going to show my last books, and then we're going to do the whole key thing.
Question. How is the chat? Is the chat?
I was just going through the chat, so I'm reading it. One question was, what's the deal with the light blue backgrounds in all the DC books?
They're cool. They're really wonderful. They fit very well. Seinfeld just came up with meaningless drivel. It may have a lower census, but it doesn't have the pull. There are less people chasing it than they are AF-15.
Why did it take so long to get in? This is a question to Matt, because Matt's like the expert on Legion.
He thinks he is. He thinks he's the expert on Legion,
I think he is.
and in fact, he is.
He's really very knowledgeable.
I know enough to get me in trouble, but but he knows all the much later stuff. Well, that was after the doppelganger took him off to the planet Cosmos, and then they came back, and then they had to rewrite the whole thing, and that was what happened in issue 479 and a half. I'm going,
Yeah,
how the
he
hell
knows
do you
every
know this
issue,
stuff?
and yeah,
And
it's
he
really
has it right
crazy.
here. He has it
Yeah,
right here.
yeah, I wouldn't have a clue.
Something wrong with that boy. Something wrong with that boy.
So yeah, so I actually I have 3 books to show.
Okay.
Um, because 3 that are sort of random, 2 that are random, and then 1 that is actually my big trade.
Okay.
Um, and then we'll do the hulky end. So this book, like this one, I actually don't like anymore. I love it, but I don't like it because I keep on seeing, now that I've wasted so much money on it. I told you how I got this one. I got this originally raw, and then I paid too much for it raw, and then I bought an upgrade, which was a 1.5. The raw was like a 1. Um, and then yeah, just like,
Alan, it's such a cool cover though. You can't feel too bad about it. It was like that other book that you got that you found and it was more expensive. Was that what was that other one that
that's the perfect romance one. Oh, you're talking about, no, sorry. You're talking about where is it? Oh, it's up there.
it's Catman. It's the
It's
Catman.
the Catman one.
Yeah,
That's a point
Catman
five.
9.
That I just got so killed on that one. But I
Yeah, but
love
the
this one.
thing
This
was
is
there
a
weren't
great cover. This is a
I
I
just
love this
I'm
cover.
sorry, I hate playing through on you. The fact was that Alan, there were none of them. Zero.
None
And
available.
finally one showed up and he says, "Well, here's my chance and I've got a Fisher cut bait. I got to go." And then you buy it, you have it, and then what happens next? Then 3 or 4 of them show up.
Yeah,
They're
show up
nicer
all of a
grade and they're
sudden.
less expensive.
Yeah, it's brutal.
I've done it. I've done it myself.
But this one I really do like. I just like the whole
It
horror
presents
aspect of it.
beautifully, Alan. The
And
guy in
I
the mirror
like
is so
the guy
creepy.
in the mirror. He looks like cousin Erie. If you guys know Cousin Erie, that's what Cousin Erie looks like. From Warren Publishing. So okay, so there's that. These were all in the same stack as the other ones that I showed. This one I overpaid on this one too. Jeez, this one I kind of went a little high on. I got sort of caught up in the whole bidding war for it, and I paid like $1,400 for this. It's probably about a $900 book. It's like I paid way over fair market for this. I
It's a
just
cool
really,
cover. It presents beautifully, Alan.
yeah, it's one that I really liked, and I was like,
Those voodoos always are just hammered, and that one doesn't look. I don't know why it's a 3.5.
I think it's maybe because of the corner down here.
Oh, that didn't. I couldn't see it. There it is.
It's not that the corners like the it's all the way through. It's just the tip of the, like, I guess the comic cover has a bit of overhang, and because it looks like, it looks like that whole corner's gone,
Too
but it's
bad
just
you couldn't trim that. What's the back cover look like? Is it a roll? Is
it
it
looks like a
spine
bit of a
rolled?
roll. You can see like what I'm talking about, where the cover kind of over. Maybe, am I showing the right side?
No.
Maybe this side. See
There
how
you
it
go.
see how it's
Okay, I
overlapped?
see it. I see it. Yes.
And that's exactly what I was talking about
The weak
before,
spot.
where
It basically that's the weak spot of the cover, and that's the one, and it's a corner. So that's the one that catches it when you put it down or pick it up.
yeah, so that corner popped off, and that's what killed the. I mean, I've actually seen 6.0s with that issue, so I don't know. They were a little bit harsh on this one, but it actually presents really well.
It does.
So I was quite happy.
Is it a necklace around her neck that goes down to her stomach,
Yeah,
or
it's
what
like
is
a
it?
scarab, right? That's a scarab, and then you
Okay, I
got
dig.
like, so it's a necklace that goes down. I always like these kind of metal bra covers. I always thought they were cool.
My, they look comfortable, don't they?
Yeah, yeah. And originally I thought it was like her face was actually this, like the skull, but it's actually, I think it's just a skull mask.
Ah, well,
But
It's Egyptian time for sure.
yeah. And she's
It's
got
sort of
that weird hand
Cleopatra.
motion
Well,
going on too.
it's a Cleopatra spin because you got the
Yeah,
serpent
the
down
snake
below
in the
and
back.
everything.
It looks like she's almost doing like, the thing where, you kind of, and
Dance like an Egyptian, the Bangles.
the bangles, but also like sort of like entrance the snake to come out and do your bidding kind of thing.
And when I die, I don't want nothing much. Just want to
But
have a place like old King Tut. King Tut.
but what's weird? The snake, it's quite thick. I don't know how it'd fit into this thing. Like,
Well, it wouldn't. That ain't no cobra. That's for sure.
it's like a really weird snake. But yeah,
Who did the
but it
cover?
has who did the cover? I have no idea. It doesn't say.
That's
So I'm not sure.
surprising.
Yeah, I'm surprised too, actually. But Matt Baker did a few of the Voodoo covers, not this one, but he did a few of them. Okay, so those are the two sort of randomish books. You actually gave me a gift, the one right behind me, this black cat. Okay, and I was sort of talking with Mark about that book, and that now, because you gave me that one, I had a duplicate. I had that one, which is nicer, and then I had my 1.0, which actually my 1.0 was presented reasonably well. It wasn't like a ugly
No, it
1.0.
was not a rag. It looked good.
It looked good. So what happened was, I was like, okay, well, now I can either sell this 1.0 or trade it. And I actually had a Silver Surfer #1 that was a 2.0 that was really faded. It was just the cover was completely faded. It looked orange rather than the bright reds that you associate with Silver Surfer 1. And we were doing some video where we were talking about, the hottest Silver Age comics of the week, and we were talking about Silver
Mark
Surfer 1.
Oldroyd on your
Yeah, this was
Monday
with
show
Mark Oldroyd. Yeah, this was on the
or your
Monday
Monday
show.
show.
And we were just sort of talking about it, and he was saying, "Oh yeah, I have 2 copies of that." I'm like, "Oh really?" No. So I said, "Hey, I have an extra copy of Black Cat #1. Would you be interested in trading?" Because they're about the same value, like a 1.0 versus the book that I got here. It's about the same value. It works out just perfectly that way. So I got to upgrade my Silver Surfer #1 and get one with nice colors. So here's the book that I
Nice.
traded with Mark, and this just arrived last week, so I was quite happy.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So mine,
Well,
like, it was funny.
that's your other Monday show. That you have. That's your
Yes,
other
my other
Monday
Monday show,
show.
the early, like,
The early
there's a
show.
early show, the morning show, and the evening show. This is the evening show. Um, but I really like this one. I'm going to take it out so you can see it'll look better once it's out of the plastic, I think. So it's a quite thick book, actually. I'm not sure if people
Well, it's an
realize how.
annual. It's a
Yeah,
25-cent annual.
but yeah, it's really quite thick. And I think this one presents reasonably well. The colors are so much better. It's nice to have it in the proper color. Um,
I agree completely.
oh, okay. So that they're saying the one that I showed, the other one is a top 5 PCH crime cover. Maybe. I
I
actually really
believe it.
like it.
I believe it.
It's one of my favorite. But yeah, so this one, I don't know. I think it presents well. It's a
It does.
3.5. The other one was a 2, so this is an upgrade. And yeah, I like the fact that I didn't have to go out and spend a ton of money. I could just trade one of my books. So it kind of worked out that I got rid of one of the books that really bothered me. Now I have an extra Silver Surfer #1. And I'll have to trade that with somebody. I'm not sure what I'm going to do
Well,
with that, but
it has value. Is it raw or is it graded 1?
it's graded. It's a graded 2.0.
Okay.
But as I said, it is faded cover. I mean, it doesn't look bad. It just looks if you didn't know what the original colors are, you'd be like, oh, okay, it's orange. Yeah, it's not the right color is the problem, and it looks better when it's red, I think. So I'll put that back in the bag later. Okay, so that's all I had to show.
I have 2 more. I have 2 more flyers, and then I will launch into Hulkdom.
So do you have 2 new books?
No, no, no. I have 2 more books to show because
Yeah,
they
but
were
are
in the
they
same
new? Or
stack. No,
are
no.
they
These are all. I've had these for a long time.
okay? Um,
Higgy
maybe
Biggy.
save them. Okay, yeah, I'll make it big. I'll let
Oh
you
no,
show
no,
me.
these are not strangers. Here is the first appearance of Supergirl proper,
Okay.
as opposed to that. It's a nice 6'5". And I asked this of Mr. Matt Atkinson because he is the man of knowledge for DC. Since that rocket came from Krypton and it entered the Earth's atmosphere and the yellow sun, how come the ship is crushed? It shouldn't have crushed at all because it would have been Kryptonian super metal, right?
Okay.
So why did it do that?
Well, still, I
Talk
think maybe.
amongst talk amongst yourselves. So there's that one.
Okay.
And then because I just talked about it, here is my amazing fantasy 15.
He really wanted that. I think that's his big grail, by the way, the Action 252.
Oh, Matt, you mean this one here?
Yeah.
Oh, wait a sec. I think there's Matt tears on this.
Yeah, look, I think it has lots of matte tears from what I can see, based on the grade. Um,
Yeah, I bought this book at the right time from our friend Dave Alexander.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Usually his books are a little bit low grade, I find. But
Well, I know. That's why it was the moon came up square, and there it was. I said, Dave, what do you got on it? And he cut me a deal, and I was very happy to get it. And then about 2 years later, he says, yeah, I sold that too cheap to you, Steve. How do you do that? And I also got that weird tales with the woman, with the Batwoman,
oh
and
yes, yeah, that was a huge.
I got that for I think $1,700 because it was just before it took off, and
Yeah, now
it
it's
was my
crazy.
birthday, and now whenever I try to make a deal with Dave,
He
he
brings it
says,
up.
yeah, I remember that weird tales, Steve. I said, well, I didn't know. I mean,
Yeah.
he says, how do you do that? What are you after now? I want to know what's Gettner after now. We got to find out what Gettner's buying. I don't know, but anyway, but there it is for you, Matt, and you'll get one. And you will notice on the open
Yeah,
edge,
Fiddle Chips, he's referring to the Weird Tales pulp
do you
from
want to?
1920, the 1928
I
one.
won't show it. You've
We'll
seen it.
show it. We'll show it next week. We'll bring
I
it
will.
next
Yeah,
week.
we can when we do pulps. But the thing about this one, if you look at the right edge of the book, you'll notice that there's a slight kind of a discoloration down right from the top all the way down.
Okay.
And also this book and also Adventure 247 also has that. They were both at the same time frame. And it is nothing, it isn't the book, it was the printing process. So anytime you see this book or you see Adventure 247, you do see this, and books of that vintage, you'll see this light, whatever chemicals they were using or however they printed them off, you have that very, very slight discoloration on the right edge. And comic books have that strange propensity that the vagaries of their printing will determine what kind of books you see. That is to say, when you see a lot of books of that particular title and issue number. For example, Batman number 3 has a white edge. In other words, the cover itself is just a hair over. So you have about a eighth, a quarter, not a quarter, but about a 16th of an inch to a quarter of an inch down the spine. It's white. And then the black starts because it's a black cover. And any issue you see of Batman number 3, that's what you see. And I just saw one sold at auction, a 9 something or another, had the
Mm-hmm.
exact same printing. It's
Same
just, I think,
issues. Yeah.
just whoever the guy was that was running the machine that day didn't adjust the thing just over far enough. He knows, he says, that's good enough. Because it was a freaking comic book. What's the big deal? I mean, it wasn't, Anyway, and then my last one here is my AF-15, and I got this at the same time, just before I bought my Hulk one. We're going into Hulkland, but I bought these 2 books for my investment in Silver Age. I kept saying as an advisor to the guide, I strongly recommend that you invest in high grade Marvel keys or DC keys, but more so Marvel keys, because more people go after the Marvels, and that's why their prices go so much higher. and sales that had happened for this book in particular, the 3.6 million sale or whatever it was for a 9.6, basically shook the whole place up, because someone would spend that kind of money, or people spent that much for this book. And so finding these books, also because of the cheap printing process and cutting process that Martin Goodman used, you always have Marvel chipping, and this one does not. This one does not have the Marvel chipping. And
nice.
The Hulk is another one that is famous for the Marvel chipping, and I don't have that on that one either. So, shall I lead off with the Hulk?
Oh, it's 1933. I was thinking earlier for some reason. I was getting mixed up with Amazing Stories, I believe. Okay, so yeah, let's do the Hulk. I'll actually do it as a split screen. We'll both show. Because you have better ones, but we'll show it together. We'll be a couple on this.
Well, I think it's fine.
Yeah.
What happened to me is this. I was going to purchase, I was going after a Batman #9 because I wanted to get a big book, because I've made some moves financially, and that's one that I would like to eventually add to my collection. For a while I was thinking of Detective 31, but I've come to the realization that I'm just never going to be able to afford, even in a restored book, to get a book that will present properly for the tens of thousands of dollars it's going to cost. So I finally said, fine, I'm done with that. And of course, the way my mind works, I just saved $75,000. I have some extra money to spend. I've saved it. I've saved the money. And but I was looking for a Batman #9, which is the Spotlight cover, and I could not find it. And I had some guys who were very, very resourceful, who sleuth this stuff out and have finger on pressure points I'll never even know. And there ain't none around. And I know, because I need a 6, at least a 5.5 or a 6 to have it join my other books. And I knew it was going to be, and I said,
it's going to be a
really
little longer.
So what happened was this: a dealer by the name of Alley Collectibles, and I'll show that second. So anyway, I already had the number. I have the Hulk #1 right here, and this is a 7.5, and it has white pages. And for the Incredible Hulk, that is a breathtaking copy of the book. And your copy looks very nice. You have just a little bit up by the one. You have a little bit of the pre-Marvel chipping going on there at the far right. Oh, you have and then across the printing, across there. But so this one I bought both of these from the same dealer, Bob Storms. And first I found the AF-15. He had another one. That's a 6.5. He had another 6.5, same grade, and it had Marvel chipping. And it was like he had $5,000 less on it. He says, which one would you like? And I said, what is this, a trick question? I'll take the one without the Marvel chipping. I don't know how you can have that kind of a defect and get a 6.5. I don't know how you do it. But those are the conditions that prevail, because comics is such a, the restoration question and the trimming and all that other stuff that goes on. It's all very, very consistent.
Yeah, I sometimes I don't get it, but we'll just go with whatever they say.
So what happened was this: Alley Collectibles had a copy of Hulk #2, and here's the copy of Hulk #2.
My Hulk 2 is a little bit more rough.
And so what happened was this: I looked up the case number on this one, because when you go on Go Collect, you actually can look at sales. If they have pictures of the books, you can actually make out they have the code numbers, and all it takes is the last 4. You don't have to know the whole thing. You just know the last 4, and you know what you got. This book sold inside of 2 years ago at Heritage Auctions, and it sold for $5,250. This book,
crazy high.
$5,250. He had a price of
I think it was like 35 or 38.
No, 30. It was, I think it was $36.99 or 37.89, something like that. And
Yeah.
I very cheekily I asked, how about 36.50? And there was no response. And then he says, okay, I'll take it. So I got this book at a
The same. It was
6.5,
the same book too. It's the
and
exact same book.
this $5,250 book cost me 36.50 less than 2 years after, well, a year and year and
That's
3/4. And so to be able to get this, and the grade is it just absolutely is a
yeah.
beautiful,
You can see
beautiful
the
book.
difference. I mean, beautiful. Your copy's awesome.
And so that started me. I said, well, I'm not a completist per
Yeah,
se.
but there's
On
only
semi,
6.
but there's only 6 issues. And I says, well, I guess now is the time to do it. And I was very fortunate to get the balance of the 6, except for number 4. The people that have the number 4s that are out there now, which is a bifurcated cover, perhaps my least favorite. It's okay, it's a good cover, but it's my least favorite of the 6. And they want an arm and a leg so far. So I'm going to wait until I find the right book to buy. But
Mm-hmm.
here is issue number 3.
Mine's UK Pence variant,
Mm,
but it came out at the
presents,
same time.
presents very nice. But this one here is very, very nice, nicely put together, white pages.
It's my
See,
fingers.
Alan always gets thumbs up. I
I
never
always
do.
get thumbs up from my fingers.
So there's that.
Wow, JX found a not 880 at the Goodwill.
An 80 number 3. JX
Oh, and Biggie got his too and a 3.0 for free.
for free.
Yeah, I think Caveman gave it to him.
Man
Man
cave.
Cave.
Caveman.
Just yeah.
Caveman gift. Caveman
My
gift book.
dyslexic
Very
awesomeness.
good. Very
Okay, I'm gonna show one book that you're not gonna show. I'll show number 4. Okay. So
I remember the story of Mongu Gladiator from Space. It's a pretty darn good story.
mm-hmm.
But they're always
So,
trying to turn the Hulk back into Dr. Banner and to remove the gamma rays, and the military gets involved, and there are all manner of problems, with the Hulk. And it only went 6 issues, and they pulled the plug. And they tried everything
didn't
they
well.
could think of. They had Kirby covers, and then issue 6 is Ditko, and it's an incredible cover, the number 6.
Oh, actually, Biggie's saying it was 30 YouTubers that helped buy the Hulk number 2 for him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And
That's really
Biggie,
nice.
and Biggie, I have to say that you had showed your Hulk number 2, and I'd seen it a few times before, and I always says, I really, really like you. I like your copy. I liked your copy of that.
Yeah, it's a nice one.
And I was thinking, I says, I gotta get me one of those eventually.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one presented itself, and I said, well, then there it is. Okay, now, so instead of doing all those really big, big things, I basically now am buying several little ones to build my Hulk set. And frankly, I think that the Hulk set, other than number 1, which is a very expensive book, all the rest of them, I don't. Well, it's true, Biggie. I saw it. You set a hook in me, damn it, and you knew you did too. No, anyway, but the thing about it was, there's only 6, and I think they're grossly undervalued for what they are, for the time in which they were. They're early Marvel books, and the census count is not high, and they weren't bought, and that's why they canceled it, because the book didn't sell. So finding nice copies of that set of 6 is really tough to do. I mean, it's not easy. You have to kind of, pick your battles. That's why I'm waiting to get my number 4. Okay, shall we go to
let's
number
go
5?
next 5. Yeah, number 5.
Here's my number 5, a
Mine's
nice
another
7-0.
Pence variant. These are way rarer, like 1/10 of the census.
They're foreign comic books that no one
Actually,
wanted.
sorry, 1/100th of the census. I mean,
Yeah, no one wants them, and even at that, they don't sell for anything
they don't
because
sell. They're much cheaper.
They're foreign comic books. They're foreign.
But
They're
it
not
came out.
American. The Americans,
That,
the British people all wanted American books. They didn't
do you
want
know
the
that
books.
is the reprint? This is the original.
I see. And of course, the medication that Alan is on is not working. Tell your
Okay.
doctor you're going to have to go up to 250s for the 125s, Alan.
Yeah, so this one basically, okay, what they did was because they wanted to have a simultaneous release of the British and the American editions, they would actually
This
ship
fairy
these.
tale again, they printed
Okay,
it first because of the shipping time to get it over to England.
yes.
So they
And so,
basically used the presses to find out where all the flaws were and all the crummiest ones that they had that were beginning when they were printing it. That
well,
Martin
you'll
Goodman says,
notice
test the
though,
books out on the Brits. They don't know the difference.
usually the colors
Send
are a
them
bit
that
sharper.
schlock.
Usually the colors are a bit sharper on the British editions, and they sell for about half the American
If you're
editions.
lucky,
If you're
because they're
yeah.
foreign comic books in America. They're foreign.
So Hazu says nice first print copy. Yeah, and Stephen, I really
Brown
do like your
noser,
second,
Hazoo. Brown
and
noser.
I do like your second print. You know, you got a good presenting one, so you know. That's true. I'm just messing with you. Yeah,
No,
but
I know. I think that your story is. I think that the story is logical. That's what it would be.
yeah, it is
It
logical.
is
I
very
just,
logical. I think they
but
came out
nobody.
within days of one another, because
Mhm.
the time when they would distribute the other books after they were but the print runs also it was just a quick
A
squirt to
fraction.
get
Yeah.
the British books done. They said, throw them in a crate. Should we put any insulation or padding around it? Nah.
No, there's
Put
so
the wire around it. Put the wire on it. Cinch
they
it
use
tight.
it as ballast
Schlock it over
when
there in the DC-7C, and we'll let them have it. And the
yeah
707.
yeah they would use it as ballast for like.
And the last book that Alan.
There are no Canadian price variants at that time at that era. It was all like American that we'd get in Canada.
See, and that's they all the and I know this, that the Brits all wanted the American books. They didn't want the
No,
British books.
and the funny thing is, like when I grew up, and even in the like I remember not liking the Canadian price variants in Canada.
Same thing.
Now it's cool now, but it's wasn't
Well,
when I
and
was a kid.
that there was a big knock on the Canadian variants because the Americans looking down, because the American market was that we
The
controlled.
dominant.
We we
Hmm.
we produced it, we created it, we perpetuated it, we had the market for it, and Canada had this weird thing where you couldn't have it.
Yeah, see, that's what I was saying. Sharper colors, and you get a real big discount. It's so much cheaper to buy the British one.
I
So that's
think
why
that
I was doing it. I was like,
that's a
I
good
sort of
way.
believed in it.
That's a good way to do it, to buy foreign comic books. Okay, here is number
Yeah.
6, and this
I'm
is
going to show
the
this one just because I can't find my number 6 right now.
this book was done by Steve Ditko, and if you look at the Hulk, you look at his face on the Hulk, it has Doctor Strange tendencies, like some of the weird faces and monsters that he had. He looks like any one of a number of the monsters with the six-pack on the stomach that these other
Hmm.
monsters had, the way the head fit and the way the legs were set up and everything else. And just the context and the proportions that and the facial things that Ditko did. And
His
if you
legs
look at
look a little short, though.
no, I mean, that's it. That's what I'm saying. That's total Ditko. He looks like
Hmm.
a monster like Tumbuktu or whatever. They show
Hmm.
these guys with short legs and they kind of waddle out and they're going to conquer the world. And then the mother calls the kid to dinner and he washes off the slide from his microscope. And then he gets the monster that can destroy the world is washed off the slide. I mean, ironic. That's the thing about Marvel books. When I was learning to read, the first two words I learned, because I was with comic books, that was with DC Comics, it was invulnerable. But with Marvel Comics, it was always ironic.
Hmm. Yeah. Whenever I hear that
Thank
ironic
you, Paul.
thing, I
Yeah.
always think of Stan Lee. I just feel like he would say that.
What's that?
That whenever I hear the ironic thing, I always feel like
Oh,
that's something.
it was
I hear
irony.
I hear it. No, I hear it like in like if I hear that word, I actually hear it in Stanley's voice. It's very odd.
But the thing is, if you read any of those Marvel monster books and everything else, these little 4 or 5 page stories, it always was the kind of the aliens invade the earth and it's white. The ground is all white. There's no plants. What is it? We sent our ships. We've got the planet destruction bomb here with us. we're ready to blow the thing up. And then what it is it's they say, okay, we're going to blow it up, and then they set the fuse too short, and he says, you idiot, it's going to blow up, and we're going to blow up with it. Our conquest things are done. And then there's a little boy holding a ping pong ball, and she says, Johnny, quit playing with that, it's time for dinner. And the the ping pong ball melts in his hand. He says, Mom, this thing, it was weird. All of a sudden there was this flash and the thing just melted in my hand. Oh, we'll buy you some more. We'll buy you a pack of 3 tomorrow. How ironic. I mean, that's what it was. It's just in a nutshell. So the next time you read a Marvel story, like from the Marvel Monster books, and you read it, it's everything is irony. Everything is hoist on their own petard. All of it is misdirection, but then it's just like, and he didn't know that at the time he was doing that, that the monster was going the other way. How ironic. So that's how I learned that word. So this is my set of 6, except that I'm missing number 4, and I will be trying to get that eventually, and I like that there. And I will tell you that hopefully by Friday, this coming Friday, I participated in a couple auctions from the Geeky Dad auction that has Who Dat also is in there. Tony Sanders, the Tone, is in there. James, who is the Geeky Dad, and then also Mr. Sands. Mr. Sands has all manner of ratios and variants and all kinds of stuff like that. Beautiful stuff. It's a great place to go. Very nice guys. Down, I think most of them are down in the New Orleans area. That's, of course, that's where
yeah, they're where they all live. Yeah,
Houdat, which is, you understand why he goes by Houdat, because he's down in down by New Orleans. So that's what we have. That was our splendor for today.
Yeah,
Was
two
can we beg for voting? Can we beg for voting?
That's what I was just going to do. I was just going to do a couple housekeeping things. One, in the description of this video, there is a link to the CBC Awards. Go over there now. Well, in 1 minute, and vote for this channel for 3 times. 1 for best unboxing, 2 for best spec, which is my Mondays and Sunday shows, and also for this show, like which is the Monday special. You'll see it in the 1,000 to 5,000 tier. So look for that. Definitely vote for us. I hope we deserve it.
Well,
So,
well, we would certainly appreciate it. We try really hard. I keep saying this. I beat this drum, but it's a
gotta
fact.
beat that drum.
Well, we try. We do our very best to bring the Friday's a fun show with fun stuff.
Vote often.
Thanks,
Get some
JF.
extra email addresses. Do whatever you need.
But we bring the best stuff that we have for the Monday show, because we want to have this Monday, the Monday show, be where Alan and I can, you know, it'll be Alan and me and maybe Hall, yeah, and Lettuce and Matt and some other people can come on. We do our Friday hangout.
We might
the
have some
Friday,
special guests this Friday as well. So
okay,
stay tuned for that.
and which I look forward to. But at the same time, but this show is just Alan and I, and our mania and our FOMO back and forth, and the things that we do to each other, which is that it's to bring these books to you and have fun with them, so that you have a nice place to go on Monday, other than Monday Night Football. Although it's pretty tough to beat football, but nevertheless, I think it's pretty good. Thank you.
Okay, and one last thing is tomorrow I will be doing. I won't be doing my regular unboxing show or in the morning. I'll be in the afternoon, probably around 2 or so. Like I have 2 meetings that I like actually do work. So after my business meetings, I will be doing my Stackery preview unboxing live stream. So stay tuned for that tomorrow. So that'll be some cool thing. It's gonna be a pretty cool unboxing. It's like a lot of good stuff. Like not like no like major grails, a couple little ones, but nothing super big, but lots of just
fun
consistent
stuff.
good stuff. Yeah. So lots of really one that's one of my favorite covers of all time actually is in this unboxing. So,
And I would
so
also like to recommend that you, if you get a chance to watch the replay of Hall Yeah, is and let us have a live stream that's running now, or was or is.
I don't think it's running now if they're commenting on this video, unless they're very disloyal to
Okay.
themselves.
Well, thank you very much, guys. But you might want to go and check out their live stream. I'm going to watch it. I know myself because they're both
Mhm.
good guys and sharp, and we like having them here on Fridays and they're both up for also for awards. They have both been nominated. Lettuce Comics has been nominated for Best New Channel,
Yep.
and Hall Yeah has been nominated for Best
Unknown.
Unknown Channel.
Hmm.
And both of them are good, and both of those guys are sharp, and it's well worth your while to go check them out.
Okay, and last thing is JX, the Kickstarter. So, just a little quick update about the Kickstarter. I did reach out to the other Steven. He said that he's going to be sending me over the proof for the comic. There was a couple changes that I asked for, and he complied. So that's going to be any day now. I'm going to get that. Once that's done, everybody will get their digital version of it, and we'll send it over to the printers. It'll take probably a couple weeks to get it printed, and then it'll be going out to people's homes.
I will say
So,
this because the thing is that when you get right down to when it's time to print, first you had to have the reservation for the printer to print. The second thing is you have to have all your ducks in order because once the thing prints, that's it. So you
mhm.
have to make sure, and it takes time to get it just right. And I will say this, even though I would much rather have our books, as they said, mid-September, and this is mid-September, the idea that you would not want to wait a couple weeks to make sure that it's done just exactly the way Alan
It,
came up
yeah.
with it, and I think that I look forward very much to it. So my guess is, I will say this to you, I
Mhm.
think it's going to be probably in the first week of October or a bit, but it will definitely be well worth it to get it because they want to make sure they get it right.
Yeah, so I was being a little bit like strict on certain things that I added will add time. I think it added a couple extra weeks, just because I was like, I kind of want it a little bit better, like, just I just want it to be very
You want
polished.
this is your first swing, and you want to
Hmm.
make sure it's right. I think you're doing the right thing. It
Okay.
wasn't what you wanted to do. It was a good idea, but in the fruition, it wasn't there, and you made it right. And I'm looking forward to it, Alan. I think you're doing it the right way.
Okay, good, good. So yeah, so thanks everyone for coming and hanging out with us.
Thank you.
Definitely check out Collecto6 on Instagram. So go over there and subscribe to his Instagram channel,
I would like to.
because that's where you can find him. If it's not here, it's there. So yeah. So again, thanks everyone for watching. Bye for now.
Bye bye.